Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're getting into something pretty amazing: how your cells decide, right this second, whether to burn the sugar you just ate for energy or to stash it away for later. We're going to look at the cell's command center that makes these huge decisions every single moment. Okay, so here's what we've got lined up. First, we'll talk about the big picture, this constant balancing act for energy. Then, we'll dive into the nitty-gritty, the three main control gates of glycolysis. From there, we'll spotlight the master regulator. After that, we'll see how hormones, the body's messengers, get involved, and we'll wrap up with how glucose even gets into the cell in the first place.
All right, first up, cellular energy, the balancing act. So why can't cells just burn fuel all the time? Well, let's get into it. Every single cell in your body is facing this constant challenge, right? It has to maintain a perfect energy balance. I mean, think about it. If the energy factories ran nonstop, it would be super wasteful. But if they shut down completely, yeah, that's game over. So that leads to the big question, right? How does a cell actually know? What's the signal inside that basically flicks a switch and says, okay, time to make energy? Or, whoa, hold up, we've got plenty.
Well, it really boils down to the balance between two key molecules. You've got ATP, which is like the cell's fully charged battery, or its bank account, totally full of cash. When ATP is high, it's a clear signal to just stop. We're good, no more needed. But then you have AMP. AMP pops up when ATP gets used, so a lot of AMP is like your bank account running low, and the bills are piling up. It's a loud and clear signal saying, hey, we need more energy like yesterday. Okay, next up, glycolysis and its three control gates. So how does the cell actually use that energy signal we just talked about? Well, the pathway for breaking down glucose, glycolysis, it's not just some simple open highway. No, it's more like a road with three really important toll booths, or control gates, that are one-way streets. Once you're through, there's no going back. And these gates are actually three specific enzymes. You've got hexokinase, then phosphofructokinase 1, yeah, it's a mouthful, so we're just going to call it PFK1, and finally, pyruvate kinase. These three guys are the bouncers at the club. They are the brakes and the accelerator. So let's look at that first gate, hexokinase. This step is absolutely crucial. As soon as glucose enters the cell, hexokinase slaps a phosphate group onto it. Think of this like putting a boot on a car. That new molecule, glucose 6-phosphate, is now trapped. It can't sneak back out of the cell. The fuel is locked in, ready to be used.
But, and this is super cool, it's not a one-size-fits-all situation. There are different versions of this enzyme. In your muscles, you've got regular hexokinase. It's really aggressive, grabbing glucose even when there's not much around. But it has a feedback loop. Its own product can shut it down. Your liver, on the other hand, uses a different version called glucokinase. This one's kind of lazy. It doesn't get interested in glucose unless there's a ton of it, like right after you've had a big meal.
And that number, 50x, really spells it out. The difference in their jobs is huge. The liver's enzyme, glucokinase, is basically the body's glucose sensor. Its job is to say, whoa, major sugar rush, and start soaking it up to store for later. The muscle's enzyme, hexokinase, is all about self-preservation. It's just trying to grab whatever glucose it can for its own immediate energy needs, even if sugar levels are just kind of average. All right, next section, the master regulator, PFK1. So yeah, that first gate is important for trapping the glucose. But the real boss, the one calling all the shots for glycolysis, that's the second gate. That's our friend, PFK1. This is the main event. So PFK1 is like the main control panel, and it's watching a bunch of different warning lights. If the ATP light is on, that means energy tank's full, stop. If the citrate light comes on, it means the next part of the production line, the TCA cycle, has a traffic jam. Stop. And if protons start to build up, which is a sign of lactic acid, that's another big red light. It's a signal to hit the brakes hard. Okay, so we've got all these different ways to hit the brakes. High ATP, traffic jams down the line. But what about the accelerator? Is there something that can just stomp on the gas pedal and tell glycolysis to go, 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 even when some of those brake lights are on? Oh, there absolutely is. And it's a special little molecule called fructose 2,6-bisphosphate. Now get this, its only job in the cell is to be a regulator. It's not a fuel, it's not a building block, it is purely a powerful, dedicated on switch. And the way it works is just genius. It's so efficient. This one molecule does two things.
First, it cranks up PFK1, pushing the burn fuel pathway into overdrive. At the exact same time, it slams the brakes on the opposite pathway, the make fuel pathway. It's this incredible two-for-one deal that makes sure the cell isn't wasting energy by trying to burn and create sugar at the same time. Talk about smart design.
So you've got to ask, how does the cell control this super powerful accelerator? Well, it uses this really clever protein that's basically two enzymes in one. One side of it makes the accelerator molecule, the other side destroys it. And the cell just flips a switch between these two functions by doing something simple. It either adds a phosphate group or takes one away. It's like a light switch. Okay, which brings us to the next level. How does the body as a whole tell that clever little two-sided enzyme which way to flip its switch? The answer? Hormones. This is how we zoom out from the single cell to see how the whole body communicates its needs.
And it mostly comes down to two major players, insulin and glucagon. You can think of them as memos sent from headquarters. When your blood sugar is high, the pancreas sends out insulin. That's the, hey everyone, we've got plenty of fuel, use it, store it, memo. But when your blood sugar gets low, the pancreas sends out glucagon. That's the red alert, we're low on fuel, liver, release the reserves, memo.
And here's where all the pieces snap together. That glucagon signal, the we're low on fuel memo, arrives at the liver. It triggers a chain reaction that adds a phosphate onto our two-sided enzyme. This flips the switch, turning on the side that destroys our accelerator molecule. And once that accelerator is gone, PFK1 slows way down, and glycolysis in the liver just stops. This saves glucose for the rest of the body. And insulin? You guessed it, it does the complete opposite. Okay, but let's take a step back. All this amazing, intricate regulation, it's completely useless if the glucose can't even get through the door. And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, getting the fuel inside the cell in the first place.
So cells have these special doorways for glucose called GLUT transporters. And what's really neat is that different parts of your body have different doors, each one perfectly designed for its job. I mean, look at the brain. It gets top billing with GLUT3, which is super efficient at grabbing glucose. The liver's GLUT2, not so much. It's a low affinity sensor. But the really interesting one, the one that's different from all the rest, is GLUT4.
And GLUT4 is the real game changer for your muscles and fat cells. See, unlike the other transporters that are just kind of always sitting on the cell's surface, GLUT4 isn't. It's kept hidden away inside the cell, stored in these little bubbles, waiting for a very specific command. That command, of course, is insulin. Insulin is basically the key. When it docks onto a muscle or fat cell, it's like ringing a doorbell. That signal tells the cell, bring out the transporters. These little storage bubbles then rush to the cell's surface, merge with it, and bam, you suddenly have thousands of new glucose doorways on the outside of the cell, ready to pull massive amounts of sugar out of your bloodstream. So when you put it all together, what you should really take away from this is just how beautiful and intricate this whole system is. You've got control at the smallest level with the simple ATP to AMP ratio. Then you have the master switch, PFK1. And then you zoom out to the whole body, with hormones controlling the very doorways for glucose. All these layers work together perfectly to manage your energy needs every single second. And that leaves us with one last thought. This whole network is a masterpiece of biological engineering, a finely tuned orchestra. But like any complex machine, that complexity is also a weak point. What happens when just one of those signals gets crossed? Well, when a single piece fails, like that insulin signal that tells GLUT4 to come to the surface, the whole system can start to break down. And that's exactly what happens in diseases like type 2 diabetes. It just goes to show you how absolutely vital this incredible balancing act really is.